Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Scots Scheme with Macalester College head football coach Tony Jennison. The Scots Scheme is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the Macalester coach questions about the Scots, football or sports in general, or just seek the coach's wisdom about life events that may be going on with you out there. In this week's episode, the coach reflects back on this past season with us, as well as shares some of his insights into next season. We begin a new feature that will be featured next season called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And the coach shares with us what he believes makes a successful head football coach. As a quick note before we get into the Scots Scheme, during the offseason, the program will air the first Friday of every month, with us recording the show the day before. So we asked that you would have your questions to us by that Wednesday prior to the show airing. That gives Coach Jennison a little bit of time to review questions before we record the show on that Thursday. So let's get right to the Scots Scheme. So let us welcome back Coach Jennison for our end-of-season review. Coach, let's first of all begin by talking about the last 3 weeks of the season. You came up a little short on the scoreboard, but the team really seemed to have put forth their best effort of the season. What were your thoughts on the way the team finished?
Well, certainly disappointed, Rob. You know, you go into those games, especially the big games at the end of the year with Carroll and St. Norbert, and then the championship week game against Cornell, and you want to win them. Certainly the North Division games, we were playing for something there, and then the championship week season, you just want to gain a little momentum for the offseason and send your seniors out with a win, and it didn't happen. But ultimately, I'm extremely excited about our future because I see the passion that our young classes have, and I do believe that what we went through this year, the struggles that we went through, is only going to make us a stronger team in the future. So we certainly feel good about where we are in terms of the 2016 Fighting Scots, and I know I've got a number of players that have told me I can't wait to start workouts, and I want to help with recruiting, and I'm excited for next season already. So I do think that, again, the struggles that we had this year will only benefit us, and we will be greater, we will be stronger for going through that in the future. So we're excited to get moving on 2016.
Cody Petrich looked really good for you on Saturday, setting quite a competition at your quarterback, I'm assuming, for next season. So do you anticipate using, kind of like you did this year, of the 2 or 3 different quarterback situation?
Well, that's a really good question, and I wish I had an easy answer for you. I think ideally we do not want to do that. I think ideally we want to settle on one guy being our quarterback. At the same time, it really, we can't predict the future. I don't know how it's going to go. And this year, we felt as though we were, in some ways, forced into the situation where we were rotating a lot of quarterbacks in because it had proven out throughout the course of the season that one guy was just not able to move the ball consistently like we wanted to. So what we started doing is we started using the strengths of each individual and running plays that fit their style a little bit. So, again, ideally, I think in a perfect world, all of our coaches want to have one guy at the quarterback position, and who knows what's going to happen with that. So it's a little hard to predict, but ideally that's what we'd be looking for, is to solidify just one person as the starting quarterback for the Fighting Scots.
I know one of the things you were really excited about coming out of recruiting was the fact that these 3 quarterbacks that you were bringing in, did you feel like they easily met your expectations for this season?
I think they did. We knew they had a lot of talent, and we knew they had talent in different areas, and they showed that. I think all 3 of the freshman quarterbacks, Alec, Cody, and Andrew, all showed that they have skills, different skill sets, unique skill sets, where they could be the quarterback of this football team. Now, the challenge that we have in terms of our football program is making sure that we're using all of our talents. So we'll be meeting with those guys. We'll be talking about it as a staff and trying to figure out what the right way to move forward is, and if it's the quarterback position for each of them, or if it's maybe another position. But ultimately, I want them to make that final decision.
Alec Beatty played really strong for you at the quarterback and at safety this season. Is it a situation now that you say if he's really going to excel at one spot, you got to kind of dedicate him to that spot?
Well, again, we haven't had our postseason meetings yet with our players, and honestly, we haven't even sat down as a staff yet. We're going to do this. We're going to do it this afternoon after this interview. We're actually going to go grab a bite to eat and talk about a lot of things. So we're not really organized with that yet. But from my perspective, is yes, I would like him to just focus at one position so he can really excel at that. And to me, if that means dabbling in certain packages at another position, I'm okay with that, but it should be something that's very simple where there's not much teaching or learning involved, and something that he can just rely on his athleticism if he is going to dabble in other areas. But I would really like to see him focus on one position and really excel at that position. And he's certainly a very talented athlete. The hard part is what position's that going to be, because I think there's probably about 5 or 6 on the football field where he could be really successful at.
This is a fairly young team for you still, with the majority of your depth being at the freshman and sophomore levels. So you have to feel really good about where your team's heading for next season.
I do. I feel great about the future of our football program. I'm still a little disappointed with how we wrapped up this season, but I do feel great about moving forward. I've had a number of our players, again, reach out to me and want to communicate about moving forward and next season and how excited they are and how they want to adjust things, tweak things. And I think that's the one thing that we learned this year is I made some mistakes this year, but I know this about myself, that I'm going to learn from those mistakes and I'm not going to make them again. So I do feel very good about the young men we have coming back in our program. I feel really good about not only their talent, but I feel good about their character, their integrity. I think we have a strong junior class that will be returning as seniors next year, and we have good classes below them in terms of our current sophomore and freshman class. And recruiting's going very well also. So yes, I feel very good about next year, and leaving this season with not having the success we wanted, it leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth, and I feel more invigorated for next season already than I think I have after most years. I think most years I'm kind of tired, I'm wore down, and I need the season to end, and I feel a little different right now. I feel like I want to get going on next season right away. So I think it's fair to say that our coaching staff will be ready to go next fall, and I think you'll see some changes around here.
If you wouldn't mind sharing with us a little bit, what were some of your thoughts that you shared with the seniors after Saturday's game?
Well, really, it's just thanking them for their commitment, their attitude, their effort, making sure I reiterate that this isn't goodbye, it's just we'll see you later, and that they've always got a home here, and we're always going to be concerned about their well-being. We're always going to want to know, how their job is going, how their family life is going, that type of thing. I always try to threaten them a little too, saying that that if they don't call, if they don't text, if they don't write, that I'll hunt them down and I'll find them at some point. But really just thanking them again for who they've been and what they've meant to our football program.
A good threat would be that whole chicken birthday singing thing, right?
It's not a bad idea.
This season you finished 4-6. In odd seasons so far that since you've been here, they've been a little bit more on the struggling side. Even seasons you've had really great years. So 9-1 this year coming up.
In 2016, how about we go at 10-0? That's the way I'm thinking right now. So, we're going to put the work in. I know that again, the struggles we went through this year will make us a stronger team. I think they have already, and I think you saw that towards the end of the season. And I know that it's going to invigorate not just our players but our staff as well. So, again, I'm really excited to get working on the 2016 season.
To close out the season, we're going to add a new feature that we'll do next season each week after each game that we'll call the good, the bad, and the ugly, where you get to describe what you saw in the week as the good of the team, the bad, and the ugly. So that's not a reference to you, me, and me in this particular part. Tell me, from your standpoint, in whatever order you'd like to give, what was the good, the bad, and the ugly for the season for you?
For the whole season?
For the whole season, let's go with.
Well, I was in a different mindset. I was thinking last Saturday's game.
Well, let's do that. Let's start with that.
The good was Zach Hauser, seeing Zach Hauser score a touchdown. That might be my favorite part of of the entire season, and just the response from his teammates, the response from the crowd when he was able to run that ball in was pretty special. So to me, that was the good. The bad from the game is certainly that we lost the game, and we didn't play well enough to win it. So in a lot of ways, I'm completely fine that we didn't win that game, because we didn't deserve to win. And I really believe that you get what you deserve in life, and we didn't deserve to win that game. So to me, that's the bad. The ugly was probably how we played, because it was ugly. We didn't play well in the kicking game. We didn't play well on offense. But we did play very well defensively. I know that you had said earlier, Rob, something about how our first how many drives ended up with 8 drives ended up with what was it?
A block punt,
block
kick,
interceptions,
2 interceptions, 2 fumbles.
Yeah, and we were only down 7-0. And to me, that's a testament to our defense. Our defense really played tough and physical all season long. They're extremely well coached. They play hard. They practice hard. They take a lot of pride in the little things, and just so proud of their effort. And it's just, I'm really excited for the future, because obviously we're losing Zach Hauser, which is going to be a big loss, and we're losing Fabian Arizon. We're losing Frank Call, Trey Maroka, and probably Ryan Fleming, who was a great player for us. Unfortunately, he had a season-ending injury early in the season, so we missed him for the better part of this year also. But I do believe that we've got a lot of talent coming back there, and really on both sides of the ball, but especially defense. I just loved how they went about their business this year, and how tough and physical they were, and how they never complained about being in bad situations. They just always went out and got it done. So I don't know how I'm talking about our awesome defense and talking about the ugly portion of this. I don't know where that went. So I'll let you be the voice of reason, bringing me back to reality here.
Let's also look at, now that you're done with the season and you're heading into recruiting now, can you, I understand you obviously can't give us people's names at this particular point.
No, it would be illegal.
But are there people out there that you're seeing that are really interested in Macalester, and you're thinking are going to bode well for you for next season?
Yes, recruiting is going very well. We have 8 commitments at this point, and they all are young men of high character, high integrity. We think the world of all of them, and we've got some really difference-making athletes in that bunch as well. So we're very excited about where we're at. We've had more visits than we've ever had up to this point. We have a number of young men who are coming back for visits now that our season is done. And I anticipate that the recruiting year will finish up very strong. All indications are that it will be very good. It's off to a really good start, and all indications are that we'll have a very strong class and finish up the right way. So I'm very excited about that, and I know that like I said before, you get what you deserve, and I know our coaching staff works really hard in terms of the recruiting aspect, because it is challenging here at Macalester, and I know our team takes a lot of pride in it too, in terms of when a young man comes to campus, getting to know him and his family, trying to educate them about who we are as an institution, who we are as a football program, what your experience is going to be like here, and then really finding out if the young man is going to fit into our culture. Is he going to be the type of person we're looking for? Is he going to be the type of student we're looking for? Is he going to be the type of athlete we're looking for? So it is something that we take great pride in here, and I think you've seen that's one of the reasons that our program has turned around in recent years, is because of the job we do in terms of recruiting the right people.
Do you think that recruiting class might even top 25? Is that a possibility?
We'll see. This is a really selective school. It's a hard school to get admitted into. So last year was the first year we had reached 25. Ever since I've been here, this is my 10th season. And usually we're in the low 20s, between 21, 22, 23, somewhere in there. And last year we jumped up to 25. So, it could happen. That's not, it's not something I worry a whole lot about right now. We're just trying to do our very best to get people interested, to educate them about Macalester and our football program, and help them understand the process, the admissions process, the financial aid process, so that they're in a position to make an informed decision. And we're also really trying to find young men that can impact our program, young men of high character who are very serious about their challenges academically that they'd receive here, but also passionate about football. So we're looking for people that can come in and make an impact, and if we get only 20 of those, but they're great players and great young men of character, then we'll be very happy with that, as opposed to 29 individuals that aren't the guys we're looking for. So we're just focusing on, again, finding the right type of young men to build our program around.
Let's go to our fan questions this week. We begin first with Tyler from St. Paul, who asked, Coach, I watch plays each week like that Odell Beckham Jr. play, where they say something is not a catch because the player did not make a football move. Is there someone that actually defines what a football move is? I mean, would you all and all the other coaches you play know, excuse me, let me rephrase this. I mean, you and all the other coaches you play against, would they know what exactly would be constituted as a football play?
If you're asking me to translate for officials, Tyler, you got the wrong guy. Every Saturday, I have disagreements with those guys, and I think that their glasses don't work the same as the way mine do. So I am the wrong guy to ask about what an official is actually looking for, because again, each week we have some disagreements about what happens on a football field. With that being said, I do think that overall our officiating crews do a pretty good job. Every now and then there are differences of opinion. I don't think there was much of a disagreements. There weren't too many disagreements this past Saturday with our game. There were a couple in the week before against St. Norbert, but a lot of times it's judgment calls, and I tell the team all the time, if we have to beat the officials and the other team, well, that's what we're going to have to do. So in terms of what officials are looking for, again, wrong guy to ask, Tyler. Sorry, I can't help you.
Chet from Minneapolis asks, what does your offseason look like now that the season is over?
Well, my offseason is mostly dedicated to recruiting, but it's also connecting with our players, making sure that they're supported on campus, that they're doing okay academically. It's about getting organized for the next season, talking to the strength and conditioning coaches about what our workouts are going to look like, and getting organized for next year. Starting to figure out in terms of what we need in terms of equipment, what our budget looks like, getting the travel organized, all that good stuff. So I know I often get questions about, well, the season's over, what do you do with all your time? I tend to stay very busy for the better part of the year, and now that the season's done, every transition is really busy and is really hectic. So we're in one right now, transitioning out of season to the off season, and I've already had way too many people ask me for my time today, and I can't take them all in. So it does stay very busy, and most of it revolves around recruiting, though.
Our next question from Lance from New Prague asks, do you have a favorite moment from the season that was most special to you?
Oh, I think that was Zach Hauser's touchdown. And I think about Zach when he scored, and how when we recruited Zach, he actually came to one of our games as a high school junior. So we recruited him after that. I met with he and his mother after that game as a high school junior. They waited near our buses. Then we recruited him as a senior. He must have visited like 4 or 5 times, yet he had a lot of bigger opportunities. He had scholarship schools that were talking to him. But we kept recruiting him, and lo and behold, he chose this football program that, again, hadn't won anything forever, and where everyone was questioning his decision. But he knew, and hopefully he feels that way now, that Macalester football would provide him with a very meaningful, rewarding experience and an education that is literally regarded as one of the top in the country. And I don't think you'll find Zach with any regrets. I know that our conversation after the game was a pretty special one, and he seemed that as though he didn't have any regrets with his decision to come here. So again, just getting Zach here was a long process and a very rewarding one when you get a top recruit like that. And then to see him have the success that he's had, leading our team to a championship season last year, being first team all conference as a junior, being first team all conference as a senior. He was just voted, it just was released today. He was voted by the coaches in the Midwest Conference as the defensive lineman of the year in our league today, which is pretty special. And to see him score that touchdown on Saturday in his last collegiate football game was really special. So to me, that's without having much more of a time to think about it, that was my favorite moment of the season.
His teammates sure seemed pretty excited
Yes,
for him
they
too.
did.
That was
Yes,
really
they
made
did.
it special.
And to me, that's that says a lot about what your teammates think of you. When you have success and everybody else enjoys it at such a unique level, it says something about someone's character and their integrity, and that's who Zach is. Everybody loves him because of how hard he works and just the great person he is, how he treats other people, whether it's a teammate, a coach, or someone outside of our football program. Everyone knows that he's a high character guy, that just is a great human being overall, in addition to being a great football player.
Our next question comes from Jules from Monona, who asks, what kinds of things do you use in your speeches to your team to motivate them?
Threats, usually. No, I don't know. It's just really whatever strikes me. It might be reading a book with my kids, and there's something that hits me and strikes a chord with me. Oftentimes what I do is on game days I like to go for runs in the morning because it gives me a chance to think a little bit, and oftentimes I come up with what I'm going to say during that time. So if players are looking at me to be motivated, I think we're going to have a problem, because to me, motivation comes from within. It comes from wanting to do your best and wanting to prove yourself and wanting to be successful for your teammates, for the people you care about, whether it's your family, your teammates, your coaches, the Macalester football program, or just pride in yourself and in wanting to prove yourself. So if people are relying on me to get them motivated for a game, we're going to have problems, because I'm not going to be able to do that. Hopefully I can get them a little fired up, or maybe I can say something to them that gets them to think, and maybe it sticks with them for a little bit of time to get them to be a little more focused on what's going on at that moment or throughout the game. But in terms of motivation, if people are relying on me, I don't think it's going to go very well. I don't think that's a great strength of mine, and plus, again, I just don't think it's the right mindset to have, needing a coach to fire you up. So again, what I use in speeches is just whatever strikes me. I tend to be honest and tend to talk from the heart, and I tend to use things from my own personal life.
So there's some good motivation out of one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
You know what? There's never been that one, but there was once from a Dr. Seuss book, "Oh, the Places You'll Go." That one was used, and there was another one, some Aesop's Fables that we used once upon a time as well.
Nice.
Those were a few years back, but yes, I have gotten motivation from Aesop's Fables and Dr. Seuss, "Oh, the Places You'll Go."
That's awesome. Our last question is from Trey from St. Paul, who asks, what do you think are the secrets to being a successful football coach?
Shoot. I don't know that I can answer that. Am I a successful football coach?
Absolutely.
I'm a football coach. I don't know if I'm a successful one. Shoot, we just had a losing season, so I don't know that I'm the person to talk to. We've had a little success. What is it in even numbered years?
Even numbered years, and the winningest coach in a single season of Macalester school history. There.
Well, in terms of my opinions, I'm not really sure, Trey. To me, I think I just try to be honest. I try to be myself. I try to be a good person. I try to be a good mentor. I try to be a good leader and do things for what's right for the young men in our program. If I'm asking one of our players to do something that is not in his best interests, whether it's not in his best interest as a person, as a student, as an athlete, I just don't think it's right. So again, I think just doing what's right, doing my very best, leading with integrity and doing what's right for others is what I try to do. Whether or not that means I'm a successful coach or not, I have no idea. I don't really judge myself based on wins and losses. I judge myself on the impact I make in young people's lives. And while this season we certainly had some challenges, I've gotten many parents who've reached out to me and players who've thanked me for the impact that I and our coaching staff and Macalester football has had on their life. So hopefully that does mean I'm a successful football coach, but it might not be so much in terms of wins and losses. And I am at a school that Macalester's not set up to be a national champion in football. We have hurdles that other teams don't have, with really high admission standards and financial aid policies that are different than other schools that make us more expensive on average. So, you know, if I was an egomaniac and it was all about winning football games, I would be at the wrong school, because this is a challenging place to win football games. But I don't, again, to me, winning is not the most important thing. Now, I do believe you have to win some football games to have a great feeling within the team and that type of thing and within your program. But ultimately, I think that football and my job is more than just winning football games. It's about impacting young men and helping them become better people, better students, better athletes, and providing an environment, a culture where they're in a football program that enhances their overall education by giving them a very meaningful and rewarding experience. I think that's really what my job is. So the secrets to that, I think, are just being honest and being myself. That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us this week, Coach.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity all season long, and I appreciate you putting up with me all these Wednesday afternoons.
You're the guy putting up with me. What are you talking about?
Works both ways, I guess.
Thank you again. Thanks. We want to thank Coach Jennison for joining us on the Scots Scheme this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Macalester coach, please send them to us at TonyJennison@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's Tony Jennison at minorleaguesportsreport.com. As a quick reminder, the Scots Scheme will air on the first Friday of every month, so we ask that you have your questions to us by that Wednesday prior to the first Friday of each month to give Coach Jennison a little time to review questions. I am Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report. I hope you've enjoyed following the program during the regular season, and I hope you'll continue with us during the off season. So we look forward to seeing you each week on the Scots Scheme.